Wow, me in 4K looking rough. Just what you wanted to see today. Let's talk about something top secret. Let's talk about Phil Mitchell's brother, Grant.
I've got to tell you, my brother came.
I'm Grant Mitchell. Yep.
So Phil's brother, Grant, is something no farmer seems to talk about unless it's in really closed circles, and even then it's like whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. And then if you go on like the farming forum, which I made the heavy mistake of going on, I won't make it again, trust me, it's thrown around like some kind of insult. Oh, so just it's made to belittle people. It's just done on a grant. It's just grant. How do they pay for that? Grants. Let me tell you, Phil Mitchell's brother has had very little to do with this farm. Shall I show you? Shall I show you where Grant paid for? This was a £10,000 concrete grant. Right, are you ready? This is not including any groundwork at all. It is just towards the cost of concrete. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you watching? Right. This. That's it. That was a £10,000 water capital grant on like a low-level stewardship entry scheme thing. Now, let me put that into context. And bear in mind, grants are available for everybody. They're not a dirty word. This is not including groundwork and labour. Let me tell you what we spent on concrete. This is in full Roy's cooperation, obviously. I prefer me in like less quality. Can I change that? I'm sure less quality makes me look better. So we will have spent, cringe if you will, £92,000 since we've got here on concrete alone. That is no groundwork and no labour, concrete alone. And towards that concrete, we've had a £10,000 water capital grant, and then we entered into stewardship, and that yard you've just seen us concrete, we got some towards that as well. But when somebody seems to throw it around like an insult to belittle you and make out that you've done less well than you have, this isn't directed at that Irish farmer with a biodigester on the farming forum, by the way. So when someone uses it as an insult, you've paid for this by grants. Hun, if you want to find someone who's going to pay for a shed on a grant, send them over. Send them over. We will take it. So the reason why they do things like this, get down to it, is to stop surface water runoff, basically, and to try and keep your yard clean and stop it going into the water courses. Yards are really mucky places, like really mucky. And by doing this, they're attempting to clean up our act. This is a government initiative. So basically what you need to do is you need to complete the work. You apply for the grant, you get said, yes, you are accepted. You then need to complete the work, prove that you've got enough money to do it, complete the work, and when it's completed and they've signed it off, they then will give you the money back. Which I can understand why they do it like that, but it's a bit tight for people who can't afford it, because how are they meant to improve if they can't prove that they've got the money before they do the work? Do you know what I mean? It's a bit, yeah. So basically, it's to catch water. Whoa! Sorry. Basically, to catch runoff water on the yard, keep it out of the water courses and ditches and things like that. And this is meant to just improve the environment in general. It does make me laugh when, like, I'm gonna stop going on about this farming forum thing now because I'm not going on it again. But it does make me laugh when it's always an Irish farmer commenting and giving you. And also, our building regulations are a lot more stringent over here. The size of our steel is literally double of what it has to be in Ireland. So our grants don't even cover as much as what theirs do. So it's a bit, if you go on any Irish YouTube video and look at the thickness of their steel, they can literally support a shed that big with steel this big. I don't like the way it's used as a weapon, and I don't like the way that nobody talks about it either. I don't know whether it's through fear of annoying the general public, maybe, and trying to get away from that stuffy farmers taking money from the taxpayer image that seems to accompany being a farmer. We don't all wear shuffles and drive Land Rovers. Newsflash. Some of us are just, you know, normal people. Any other grants on the farm, we've had £4,000 towards the handling system. Bear in mind, with groundwork, the roof and the actual crush, because they don't pay for the crush because you're meant to have one of those anyway, that cost about 30 grand. And we've had like nearly 3,800, I think it was, something like that, nearly towards it. So the silage pit already existed. It's where we put our silage. On a grant, we have roofed it over. Funnily enough, the grant doesn't pay for things like Yorkshire board though. It literally just pays for the steel and the roofing sheets, that's it. The same goes for the muck shed. The muck shed already existed, we roofed it over on a grant. So this is on a mid-tier countryside stewardship scheme. This was mucked out yesterday, you saw it being done. And this is last night's heavy downpour. This is why they're wanting roofs over muck middens. Exactly this reason here. So Vi is getting the low loader trailer out, and we're going to put the S160 Beast. I was watching one of Ollie Harrison's videos the other day, and he was looking around a machinery dealership, and there was one of these in the yard. Ollie, I think you should get one. Honest to God, it's such a handy piece of kit. Like, you could literally park a tractor on there and get it out of the way of your workshop, and then when you've got a bit of time, wheel it back in. We use ours for a lot of like transportation of bobcat. Roy bought it when we've got two bobcats, basically, for those of you that don't know, and one of them broke, and we realised they were both getting on a little bit, and we're kind of screwed without them, to be honest. So what we use these for is moving these bad boys. Keep your fingers out the way. Works like that so it doesn't go down in transit. So here at the other farm, we have a major problem. Not just that there's something in my eye. Sloppy poo. So this isn't bad, but this is runoff, and that's what they're trying to avoid. So this has been exasperated by the amount of rain that we've had, torrential rain actually that we've had. I'm in no way saying that it was in good shape beforehand, but the rain has definitely not helped the situation at all. And it also illustrates in some way why there are grants available to roof over muck middens. Because, whoa! Imagine the Sugar Plum Fairy music playing. So I'm just making a video about the spreader. Can you see that lamb down there that can't get up? Basically what we call a cast sheep. It's just where it's got itself on an incline, that means it's really hard for it to turn back over. So I'll just walk over and poke it and make sure it gets up. See how everybody else has got up apart from that one lad. It's stuck. Oh, go on, try a bit harder. Try a bit harder. Go on. Oh, you can do it. Roll right over. Hey! So we baled some first year seeds in the end of June, and the war in Ukraine had just kicked off. Diesel prices are sky high, and the sun was really warm, and we thought we'd get away without tedding it. Turns out we made ourselves a lot of work, and the shite looks like this. The silage that we're bringing from home is now officially drier than the bales that we were feeding them before we'd opened the pit. But yeah, it's resulted in this mess and having to get somebody in to spread it for us because the side spreader just would not be able to cope with it. It'd just spew it all over the sides and it'd be terrible. So this that's coming down the road now is a dual spreader, and they're really made for the dairy industry, and they will spread very sloppy, nearly slurry, but slurry that wouldn't go through your slurry tanker. Or if you haven't got the facilities, i.e. the tank and the whisk, useful for that as well. So that's a dual spreader, and it is made for sloppy poo like this. Hi. Aside from getting your yards lived over, which we've talked about already, the countryside stewardship also wants you to do things like manage land differently. You have to excuse me, I'm really tired. And I've just been fighting with a calf. It's like, it's got pneumonia, it's been it's already had its immunisations, but it's still got it anyway. And then it went off its milk yesterday morning, and I tubed it this morning with some electrolytes. And I actually gave it an egg throughout the day because I was told once that like all the goodness that's in your electrolytes and stuff, all your salts and minerals and all that rubbish, it's in an egg. Like, eggs are really good. So anyway, I gave it an egg today. So every calf that's ill around here gets an egg. And then I've just tubed it again now, and it's still not looking any better. I've never tubed a more dramatic calf in all my life. You know that point where you go, oh, I shouldn't be doing this because it is so dramatic. I'd done nothing wrong and I wasn't being rough with it. It is just a dramatic calf. Anyway, it's taken out with me. I'm really cross at it. So I'm just going to go around feeding everything else. The road forms have finally gone home, thank God. I'll be glad to see the back of those things. So as I was saying, mid-tier countryside stewardship requires you to do things like manage your land differently. So you do something called seasonal livestock removal, where you only put livestock on for certain amounts of time a year. So basically you take it off all winter. There's also something where you have livestock exclusion. So you take livestock off altogether. So we are doing, I think it was something along the lines of 1,200 metres of laying hedgerows, which is time's ticking, to be fair on that. We need to get on with it. We can also plant new hedges. We're doing about 600 metres of brand new hedges. We are fencing off areas that have livestock exclusion on them, and the boundary between will also be hedges. So you can see it's give and take. Yes, the yard being done has environmental benefits to it, but in exchange you obviously give over and manage your land differently. I also have like permanent grassland, which we have the allotment that you may have seen the sheep on. That can have very low inputs, so no fertiliser, that kind of thing. Also on a lenient amount of livestock grazing. So like Roy said, yeah, it's all well and good us agreeing and going, oh yeah, we're going to get some fencing done, we're going to get some fencing done, great new fences, great new fences. You've essentially just signed over a large proportion of land to no inputs. So the government have basically bought off you that strip of land from around all of your fields that you're double fencing. It would be very, very interesting. That would be interesting. And someone will know the answer somewhere. How much double fencing has been paid for in the UK with what meterage in between, and have that worked out at how big of an area of land it is? Because I think that that would be an eye-opener. Essentially, the government have bought some very cheap land by giving you some fencing. I'm going to go on a tangent and research that tonight. You do know that. So yeah, whilst it does look quite large and impressive down there, I'm impressed by it. I love it. I think it's great. You've got to remember that functionality-wise, apart from being cleaner, it adds no advantage to the farm. It may be less wastage on the floor because it's not getting wet when it's being rained on. But apart from being clean, the functionality of it hasn't changed. It's still a silage pit and there's still muck sheds, and everything is still going to function exactly as it was without that addition of the roof being put over them both. Oh, this video's gone wayward. Oh, you've slid. You've slid. You've slid.